A while ago we visited Vienna. I haven't been there in more than 10 years, and I was excited to visit all the museums and art galleries. We arrived at a Thursday afternoon after 5 hours of driving. Since we were traveling with our 4-year-old, I tried to keep the schedule as light as possible. So the first day we checked in our hotel and walked around the neighborhood and visited every playground in the vicinity. The one thing I've noticed right away, and it continued to be the theme of any part of Vienna we visited, were large and small patches of greenery everywhere. It looked like somebody was determined to cover every inch of dirt with plants, and I was here for that. It isn't surprising that in 2020, Vienna was crowned the world's greenest city. Some sources even say that half of the city are green spaces. Not only that, but 30% of the city's energy requirement is covered by renewable sources, and the whole city is accessible by public transport. Or you can just walk everywhere, which I did. I've scored an average of 16 walking kilometers per day, and at the end of our trip, my feet were killing me. Actually, Vienna reminds me a lot of my hometown Zagreb. It isn't surprising because downtown Zagreb was built by Austrian most renowned architects, and it's sometimes called Little Vienna. The second day we split up. Mario took Livia to the zoo and I decided to go to the museums, specifically the Albertina. Walking there, I visited the museum quartier. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. It is more than 90,000 square meters with 60 cultural institutions. I've stopped in a little passageway that had vending machines with signs. I love that idea. And signs are something I'd love to create in the future. Of course, I had to buy one, or two. Moving on to the Albertina Museum. This is my second time here, and since I was alone, I really took my time. It starts with drawings and sketches from artists from the 14th and 15th century. It includes sketches from Michelangelo, Bosch, and Raphael, among others. It was really interesting to see how at first the drawings were only of men, and then in late 15th century, artists started doing depictions of naked women. Even though some artists used live models, the portraits of these women were more oriented towards the ideals that these artists had inspired by antiquity. Michelangelo still drew female bodies, referencing male models. This shows how women were not seen as individuals, and their bodies were portrayed either idolized as goddesses or nymphs, or stigmatized as witches and whores. It was really an interesting exhibition, and even though I knew all of this, it was very powerful to see it with examples and everything. The Albertina houses one of Europe's most important compilations of modernist art. Its permanent display starts with artists of Impressionism and Post-Impressionism, such as Degas, Cézanne, Gauguin, and Toulouse-Lautrec. It has art from Austrian painters such as Kokoschka, and a great diversity of Russian avant-garde artists such as Gocharova, Malevich, and my favorite, Chagall. It has several works by Picasso, Monet, Miro, and other important artists of that time. The thing I've noticed and loved is that there was a group of children, maybe 8 or 9 years old, led by a teacher or a museum employee. They were going into depths about some of the paintings. Later on, I will see this in every museum I will visit. I think it's amazing how these kids are learning about art at such a young age. I'm trying to do a study of the famous Monet painting Water Lilies. Once I was done with the Albertina Museum, I decided to go to Albertina Modern. I only went because a friend recommended an exhibition there by Yoshitomo Nara. I'm so glad I went because this was the peak of my trip. This exhibition and Nara's art was so powerful I even cried at the end. Okay, yes, I cry easily, but it was very powerful and relatable. A lot of it was inspired with the music I listened to. Nara said that their work was inspired by the loneliness and isolation they felt while growing up in Japan and later studying art in Germany. They mention a cat as their only friend. The exhibition was so moving to me, I even bought one of those expensive museum art books. It comes with a poster and everything. Later on, I went to an art store. I had some things in mind that I wanted to buy, but even though the store was huge, they didn't have many of my desired supplies at the location. The third day, we decided to go to the Belvedere Museum. Honestly, this was my first and probably the last time there. It was very crowded, and I don't feel like the exhibitions had any concept except for the chronological order. It was a bit disappointing, especially after Albertina. The other thing that was a huge obstacle was my hyperactive daughter, who didn't really appreciate the exhibition. She is 4, so all is forgiven. There were some interesting pieces by Monet. I'm a huge Monet girly if you didn't notice, and by Klimt. I'm not a big Klimt fan, but I did enjoy some of his work inspired by nature and more rural scenes. I'm doing a study of one of his paintings here. I really wanted to visit the botanical gardens near Belvedere, but Livia wanted to go to a playground, so we went to the playground. In the evening, we visited the butterfly house, or the Schmetterling house. Do you know that meme with the word butterfly in German? This was rather small, but it didn't disappoint. It was beautiful with tropical plants and butterflies flying everywhere. One even landed on Livia's hand. It was truly a magical experience and a memory I will cherish. By the way, I'm terrible at drawing people, and Maria said that in my sketch, Livia looks like a child from a Japanese horror movie. And I have to agree. Day 4 was heavily raining and we went to visit the Natural History Museum. I didn't really enjoy it. I don't know if it was because of a million people there who all were looking for something to do while raining, or because I've already been to the Natural History Museum in London, which to me was a far better experience. I'm painting one of many minerals in one of many rooms with minerals there, which I thought I would enjoy more, but it was a bit overwhelming. I didn't like that most of the signs were only in German. And before somebody comes for me, I didn't expect them to be in Croatian, but English would be nice. There is a limit of languages I can speak and understand fluently. The 5th day, we decided to leave after breakfast and stop at a forest walk in Slovenia. It's a high platform that goes through the treetops and gives you sort of a bird's view on the forest. The nature in Slovenia is always beautiful, and we really enjoyed the scenery. Once we got there, I started questioning my decision, because it was my idea to go there. First of all, it was a very foggy day, and second of all, I'm terrified of heights. So we didn't go to the highest part, which is 37 meters high. We stayed on the lower platforms. Once we were safely on the ground, we enjoyed a little walk through the woods. Bonus points, there was a lot of the poisonous red and white picture book mushrooms. that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I had a great time in Vienna. I hope you enjoyed my vlog. Bye!